those representatives on this phone because they have been not only present to make sure that Jackson gets in compliance with the various areas of our environmental responsibilities here in the city of Jackson, but they've been supportive in terms of making sure that we sing from the same sheet of music. You know, one of the first agencies that we heard from in the midst of our February troubles was the EPA, and they came as a support. They came to offer direction to the city of Jackson and opportunity, and so I'm grateful for them. I think Brandy was one of the first people that called me, and so with that, Brandy, it's in your hands, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good morning, and thank you to the City Council and Mayor Lumumba for allowing us the opportunity to present before you today. My name is Brandy Jenkins, and I am the Public Affairs Director for the Environmental Protection Agency Region 4 office. That is the office in the Southeast where we cover the 8 Southeastern states. The primary reason we wanted to present before you today is to convey to you that EPA is here and we stand ready to provide the support we can. It's important to us that our state, local, and community partners are aware that EPA is here to actively engage with and listen to the communities we serve. We understand that state and local governments know their own communities better than the federal government ever could. And that is why we work to maintain open lines of communication. Our work is critical to improving people's lives, but the challenges we face are more urgent than ever before. The strength of our communication will determine whether we can effectively work through them. Joining me today are 2 senior leaders from EPA, Carol Kemper, EPA Region 4's Enforcement and Compliance Assurance Division Director, and Janine Gettle, EPA Region 4's Water Division Director. Carol and Janine are going to walk you through some of EPA's recent activity with the city and present some resource-specific information. It's our understanding that we may not be able to take questions directly from the public, but at the end of our slide deck, or I can provide my contact information for those who would wish to reach out to us. So, Carol, I turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Brandy, for the introduction, and Mayor for your kind remarks. And thank you to the Mayor and City Council members for the invitation to join you today. I also want to thank Dr. Shirley Harrington for your inspiring words and work. I'm grateful to you for breaking trail for so many of us. I'd like to begin my presentation by recognizing our partners in implementing the Safe Drinking Water Act in Mississippi, the Mississippi Department of Health. Mississippi Department of Health has primacy for drinking water enforcement and implementation here in the state of Mississippi. This means they have the authority to implement and enforce the Safe Drinking Water Act within their jurisdictions. Mississippi Department of Health joined EPA on an inspection of the city system in February of 2020. And then later that month, the state Mississippi Department of Health referred the case to EPA to take the lead in implementing and enforcing and the enforcement process with the city. The February 2020 inspection found significant violations throughout the system that caused immediate concerns and raised questions about the reliability of the system to provide safe water. During the inspection, the EPA identified immediate concerns related to bacterial contamination and proper disinfection. The Safe Drinking Water Act, just a little bit of background on how it's structured. The Safe Drinking Water Act authorizes EPA to issue emergency orders in Section 1431 to prevent an impending dangerous condition from materializing or to reduce or eliminate a dangerous situation once it's been discovered. In Section 1414 of the Safe Drinking Water Act, it gives EPA the authority to issue an administrative order to compel a public water system to take actions necessary to come into compliance with the drinking water regulations, and often addresses more long-term actions. The emergency order that is currently in place will continue to be in place while the City of Jackson addresses the order's requirements. EPA is evaluating and working with the city to address the emergency order with an eye towards more permanent solutions for reliably and consistently delivering safe drinking water. Administrative orders under Section 1414 can address alleged violations of the national and state primary drinking water regulations and provide longer-term solutions. We expect it will take several years to complete work necessary to repair and rehabilitate the drinking water system here. Another document you may have seen is a notice of noncompliance. Since the state has requested EPA take lead on enforcement activities as it relates to the City of Jackson's drinking water, EPA has notified the city of these violations through a notice of noncompliance letter. This starts an exchange of information related to the alleged violations that may be subject to more formal proceedings. After making sure that we had accurate and quality information gathered during the February 2020 inspection, and in coordination with the Department of Health, EPA issued on March 27, 2020, an emergency order for imminent and substantial endangerment related to the potential for high turbidity in the water and other additional issues that could lead to public health concerns. Turbidity is a measure of the degree to which water loses its transparency or gets murky due to the presence of suspended particles such as clay, silt, and other material. High turbidity in drinking water can hide bacteria and viruses and make disinfection harder. The emergency order addresses turbidity and other concerns discovered during the February 2020 inspection related to bacterial contamination and proper disinfection. Some of the actions required in the emergency order are regular dosing processes for pH and disinfection, development of a comprehensive equipment repair plan, develop an alternative water source plan, and review and update the sampling site plan under the lead and copper rule. Since the emergency order was issued, the city has taken actions to repair the systems and improve operations. Some actions that the city has taken to improve these operations and build a longer-term plan for repair and rehabilitation are the Public Works and city representatives have been participating with EPA in bi-weekly meetings to discuss progress on the emergency order and developing a long-term plan, which is envisioned to be included in a separate order. The city has been submitting weekly updates and all required reports. An alternative water source plan has been completed. The city actively participated in the development of the comprehensive equipment repair replacement plan that will be a part of the long-term plan. And as a part of this equipment repair and replacement plan development, the City of Jackson has begun planning and assessing for the repair and replacement of major pieces of equipment such as membrane trains, filters, and converting to automatic dosing feeds. They have begun repairing and replacing a number of parts that were re-damaged during the winter storm. As you are very aware, the city suffered substantial impacts from the February storm. Unfortunately, some of the equipment that had been repaired or replaced was impacted. The city has requested additional funds for repair due to this emergency situation. And Janine Gettle will talk more about the funding and what opportunities are available and resources in just a couple of slides. So communications, and I believe the slide deck has been provided to the City Council, and if it's not being shown, but we do have the information on where to report problems with drinking water so that the city can be responsive to persons and their customers and citizens' reports of problems with the drinking water. And there's three ways. There's a city action line, there's the water lab, and there's the Mississippi Department of Health's phone number. In addition, there's a link that will be provided to you that just gives information on how it's on the city's website on what precautions to take when there has been a boil water notice. This information is consistent with the information provided by EPA and the Department of Health. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Janine Gettle, Director of EPA Region 4's Water Division, to discuss resources.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning to the City Council and to the Mayor and to all of the participants from the City of Jackson today. I'm very pleased to be able to be here today and talk to you about funding opportunities and other resource opportunities that are available to the city. EPA continues to work with the city and the state to address infrastructure needs, and particularly to address issues with the drinking water system in the City of Jackson. The need for improvements was highlighted during the recent storm, as Carol just mentioned, and at a time when I know that you all were all impacted and experienced significant drinking water shortages. So I'm going to talk about several funding opportunities and options, and then another mutual aid option that we think is really important. The first thing I'm going to talk about is what's called the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. The Drinking Water State Revolving Fund is a financial assistance program to help water systems and states achieve the health protection objectives of the Safe Drinking Water Act, which is a federal law that governs drinking water systems. The Drinking Water SRF represents a powerful partnership between EPA, the states, and local governments. Funding for the SRF is appropriated by Congress, and the EPA allocates those funds to the states through a capitalization grant. The states provide a 20% match to funds they receive. The revolving funds have very low interest rate loans, and they can also give other authorized assistance to water systems for eligible infrastructure projects. This includes improving drinking water treatment and fixing water distribution systems. As entities repay their loans, the repayment and interest flow back into the dedicated revolving fund and can be used to make additional loans. The City of Jackson has used the SRF. States also have the option of taking a portion of the SRF to provide technical assistance to water systems in need. As I said, this is a powerful partnership, and it is important as we have continued to have discussions with the city and the state on ways to maximize the benefit of the SRF for the city of Jackson, such as refinancing existing loans to the best terms available, utilizing loan subsidization to address statewide needs, and leveraging the revolving fund to fund current requests. We encourage the city to continue direct dialogue on how to maximize the impact from the SRF resources, both with EPA and with the Mississippi Department of Health, who administers this program in Mississippi. Another loan program that EPA administers is the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, or we call it WIFIA. This program was enacted in 2014, and it established a federal credit program administered by EPA for eligible water and wastewater infrastructure projects. WIFIA and the WIFIA implementation rule outline the eligibility and other requirements for prospective borrowers. Eligible borrowers are local, state, tribal, and federal governments, partnerships and joint ventures, corporations and trusts, clean water and drinking water state revolving fund programs. So those are loan programs that EPA currently administers. But we also have a grant program that is of note for the city of Jackson. It's the Water Infrastructure Improvement for the Nation grant. This addresses and supports and improves America's drinking water infrastructure. Included in what we call the WIN grant is a drinking water grant for small and disadvantaged communities. The city of Jackson is eligible for this grant. It does require a 45% match, but that match can be met with other federal funding, such as HUD Community Development Block Grants. The grants are awarded to states, and they distribute to communities based upon state priorities. We have met with the city of Jackson and the state to discuss eligible projects and highlight the June 30th deadline for an application under the WIN grant program. Another tool that we think is important is mutual aid. The Rural Water Emergency Assistance Cooperative is a statewide mutual aid network in Mississippi for water and wastewater utilities of any size. Participation in mutual aid provides operational support, including qualified backup operators at water treatment plants. We are pleased to learn that the city has recently signed up for this valuable emergency resource, and we encourage the city to utilize this resource as needed in the future. So those were our loan opportunities, our grant opportunities, some mutual aid opportunities, but we also have other pending opportunities coming up. The Biden-Harris administration announced the American Jobs Plan, which promises modernized, safer water infrastructure. It proposes an unprecedented $111 billion investment to revitalize drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater systems, tackle new contaminants, and support clean water infrastructure across America. An investment of this scale and scope would create nearly 2 million good-paying jobs across the country. And among the steps taken in the plan is providing $56 billion in grants and low-cost flexible loans for safer and modernized water infrastructure in local communities across the country. And it calls for 100% removal of lead pipes. And lead pipes plague too many American communities, many of which are communities of color and low income. To do this, it invests $45 billion in EPA's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and in WIN grants, which I just discussed. You may have heard of other water infrastructure funding discussions in the news. We, of course, are watching this closely, and once legislation is enacted, we will work with the states and other impacted parties, including the City of Jackson, to distribute funds provided. I also want to touch on the FEMA Major Disaster Declaration. So on May 4th, President Biden granted a major disaster declaration for the state of Mississippi. This triggered the release of federal funds to help communities recover from the severe winter storms that occurred in February of 2021. With the major disaster declaration, the City of Jackson is eligible for public assistance funding to address emergency work and repairs or replacement of disaster-damaged facilities. The EPA would be happy to assist the city in efforts to document any water system damage that resulted from the ice storms. We have tools to help assess water system vulnerabilities, and we would be happy to engage directly with you to use those tools to enhance the resilience of the system. The EPA also has a website. It's called Fed Funds, and we'll provide that to you. We'll get Brandy to send it over to you. And this site can assist water and wastewater utilities in identifying federal funding programs for disasters from FEMA, EPA, USDA, HUD, and SBA, and show examples of utilities taking advantage of programs in all states, including Mississippi. Finally, I want to reiterate that we stand ready to offer assistance as you look at these various tools, to walk through them with you, and to look for ways to maximize the opportunities for the City of Jackson. I want to thank you for this opportunity to talk with you about this very important issue today, and I will close with that and turn it back to Brandy.
Okay, thank you, Janine. Members of the City Council, Mayor Lumumba, did you all have any questions for us?
First of all, thank you, Brandy, Carol, and Janine for the update and presentation. Colleagues, do we have any questions? No, it seems like, okay. All right, Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank EPA for the help and the information. So I think and I tried to write down the names when we had from our pass out the Drinking Water Safe Revolving Loan Fund program. I knew they had a program similar to that in Texas when Houston had some issues. And I think that you said that we have started utilizing those funds.
Yes, we have.
How much total is in that? Is in that fund? I know it's through at the state of Mississippi is involved. Do we have any idea how much the total package is? How much total funds is in there?
Are you asking the total amount that you have available right now? It is around $10 million available for immediate use in the City of Jackson.
How much do you foresee?
That's the number that I have.
How much do you foresee the total amount it would take for us to rehab our system and come under compliance?
I think that your staff may have the best estimate on that. We've seen a number of different amounts, and it depends on how you break this up. This is, as Carol said, a very long-term process to come back into compliance. And so there are immediate needs and longer-term needs, and I think you have some immediate needs.
You mentioned long-term solutions. How long will you give us? I guess that's what the point I'm trying to get to. If the system is currently not at the level that you think it should be, how long you can tell the city council the city has to repair and bring our system up to speed, so to speak?
So Brandy, I'll take that one if that's okay. What we do is we work with the technical feasibility of what is practical and reasonable for repairing such a complex system. We work with the Public Works Department and the Mississippi Department of Health to get to know that system and to know what is a practical time frame to repair and rehabilitate the system to provide that long-term plan.
You said that we're in violation of the Safe Drinking Water Act. Our citizens want to make sure that the water they drink is safe. We need to get it fixed as quick as possible. What kind of time frame would you want your family to be under to have the water they drink to be safe?
So what I will say about is the Water Safe to Drink, the emergency order and the operations that have changed are providing in this immediate time safe drinking water. That water is, we're trying to minimize the number of boil water notices. Those are issued so that there is, as in my area, are issued when it's necessary to boil water to have safe drinking water. We try to set a time frame that is physically possible to and practical to set to repair that system while continuing to provide safe drinking water.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Any other questions? Councilman Stamps?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the mayor for facilitating this conversation, and thank you to all of you for providing such a thorough presentation. Where is the city of Jackson on all of our reporting? Have we met our requirements for the different reportings that are required underneath our orders that have been with the EPA are we current? Are we behind on anything that we need to provide to you all as far as documenting and reporting information that's going on locally?
You are current on all the reporting and notice requirements, and that is one thing that the city, it's one of many things that the city has been working very closely with us to assure that we have the information needed to make the proper assessments.
And my last question is, with the close relationship the city of Jackson has had with the EPA, do you feel as though we're going to meet our reporting requirements in the coming reporting deadlines that are due?
I feel that your track record has shown that you meet those deadlines, and I would expect that you would continue to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments, colleagues? Mayor, you have some close comments?
Yes. Once again, I want to thank Carol, Brandy, and Janine for joining us today. And I want to thank you for working so closely with us, not only on this issue, we're talking about drinking water today, but as y'all are very familiar with, wastewater is an ongoing challenge with the city of Jackson as well. And we value the opportunity to work closely and fix, these long-term issues within the city of Jackson. As I have shared with you on multiple occasions, nobody wants to be in compliance with the Safe Drinking Water Act more than the city of Jackson, and working alongside you helps us get there. Lastly, just for clarity's sake, the city of Jackson has repeatedly been recipients and applied for the SRF loans. We utilized one round of that, and we are applying for a second round. Our third round of the SRF loans. As you know, federal funds flow through the state, and so we just apply to the state in order to utilize. And so what may be available, we still have to be able to be awarded that, and we'll take advantage of every dime that we can possibly spend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, if there are no more questions, I want to take the time to, again, thank Ms. Brandon Jenkins, Carol Kempker, and Janine Jettle for your time, and we really appreciate you taking the time to, not just for the council's sake, but also for our constituents in the city of Jackson to understand where we are when it comes to providing clean water and access to water. So thank you kindly for attending our meeting.
Thank you for your patience too. We know that we have marathon sessions, but we appreciate you being here.
All right. Let's go.